Welcome friends to another r/entitled parents video. Did you know that scientists figured out that only entitled people won't hit the like and subscribe buttons down below? Only you know the truth. That said, our first story of the day is by Polemyhead. How entitled mother ruined 15 years of friendship and asked for divorce because we asked her 10-year-old kid to put his bowl in the dishwasher. When I was a kid, my parents, mom and stepdad, were good friends with a couple, entitled mother and nice dad. They had 3 older kids around my brother's ages, and 1 younger one who was the baby, M. After they moved away, there was an annual friends barbecue and a few birthdays and holidays spent together. There's been some drama around entitled mother, like one day a super good friend stopped coming to the kids' birthday parties, and entitled mother began to insult her every time we would ask why she wasn't invited anymore. Oh, that slur isn't welcome anymore because she's just a other slur. It happened again another time, and my mom could never and still cannot give us a valid reason why. M was always mama's baby. She would make a drama of every flu, tantrum, the kid would have nightmares and cry, and she would freak out and film him to show us afterward about how scary and stressful her life was. They even once gave the kid his brother's room and furnished it from zero because he didn't sleep well in his other room, and he needed some change. Now on to the story. M is 10 at the time, his brother Q is 20, my stepdad has kids aged 7, 12, and my brothers are 20 and 13. The 2 families together decided to rent a cabin for 10 days around Christmas. Everyone arrives at the house and days 1 to 2 are going okay. Entitled mother complains that there's too much walking and her precious baby's tired. My mom and new boyfriend are understanding. Not every kid is trained for long walks. But after a few days, we notice everything is about M. Entitled mother's cleaning after him, everyone has to be on his meal and sleeping schedule, she's all over him and over us because of the noise or any disturbance. As the kids start to eat snacks outside of mealtime, the parents ask them all to put dishes in the washer after they were used. Everyone agrees, but M never does it. The kids remind him gently, and it works for a time, but every time entitled mother's around, she starts yelling at the kid whom dared criticize her baby and does it herself. At that stage, the house became tense, and my parents felt entitled mother was getting weird about it. Entitled mother starts to lock herself in her bedroom, be even more controlling of M, and berate everyone who dares say anything negative to the kid, even if it's the 7-year-old who asked him for his toy back. When finally, entitled mother lost her mind day 3 before dinner. My older brother P, 20 at the time, says, "Kiddos, who's the dummy who still forgot his bowl full of milk in the sink?" My mom says, "It's okay, P, but kids, please think about it. Do as you do at home." Entitled mother says, "How dare you speak about my baby like that? He's my kid. He doesn't have to do anything. I'm doing it for him." My mom says, "It's okay. We're trying to teach them to clean after themselves." Entitled mother says, "No, I don't know what you're trying to do, but my baby isn't doing any of it. Your kids aren't your slaves. I'm treating mine good." Nice dad says, "Okay honey, maybe we'll figure out things later. Calm down." She says, "No, I will not. They're trying to force my baby to clean for everyone. He doesn't have to do anything. He's my baby." Entitled mother's kid, 20, tries to calm her down too when entitled mother takes a freak out. "You know what? I hate you and I never wanted to be here. I want to leave." She locked herself in her room, and as her husband tried to make her calm down, she yelled, "I'm taking my baby home, and I'm asking for a divorce." She then left along with the kid and came back and forced her other kids and husband to leave too, telling a few times to my parents that they were terrible parents and so on. That was the last time we saw her. I know from the kids that 5 years later, she's still very much with her husband. Her mental state isn't the greatest, but mostly, she's telling anyone that M is doing terrible at school, while the kid's actually doing fine according to his brothers. And that life as a mother is so stressful and terrible for her. Do you guys agree that this might lead to stunted growth for the kid? I just feel like this kind of babying and behavior is going to be greatly harmful to him. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next story is by Dame DeBoof. "You paid for them, so you can pay for us." My nephew's a small kid, and he calls both my wife and I mom, while calling my brother dad. This has led to him getting teased a bit, especially by entitled mother's son Jared. Jared is easily 30 pounds heavier than my nephew, and a solid 6 inches taller, so my nephew's terrified of the kid. As a result, we don't invite that kid to parties or playdays. Every other kid on the block is invited, but I refuse to force my nephew to interact with someone he's so afraid of. When the ice cream truck pulls up to our neighborhood, it stops at the very beginning of the V-shape our two streets in our neighborhood make. Kids, parents, and anyone else who wants ice cream go and meet the truck there, so it doesn't have to go down both streets individually. Yesterday, my nephew was playing in the yard with his friend Kevin, while I and Kevin's dad Joe were trying to keep up with them while enjoying a pitcher of slow gin fizz. All in all, a beautiful day in Middle America. And now the story begins. We hear the unmistakable sound of the ice cream man pulling up the main road, heading towards the tip of the V-shape our neighborhood makes. So both the kids, Joe, his wife, my brother, and I all head up to the intersection to grab some soft serve. We get to the truck, and I let Joe know that this one's on me. He brought the drinks. So we all get our ice cream, I pay, and then we start to walk away. Before we get more than 20 feet from the truck, entitled mother's placed an order for her and Jared, and proclaimed in her best outside voice that OP will be paying for these. I take a few steps back. Excuse me? I never offered to pay for you. She says, you said this one was on you. I say, I was talking to Joe, not you. She says, that's not fair. Jared was so excited for ice cream, and now you're saying he can't have any. I say, ma'am, he's free to have all the ice cream you're willing to pay for. I'm not buying my son's bully ice cream. She says, how dare you? I say to the ice cream guy, sorry for the mix-up, but she's not on my tab. I want to be clear about that. Entitled mother says, come on, Jared, we're going home with no ice cream because OP hates you. I switched to martinis when I got home because screw that. Why did she even come to the truck if she didn't have money on her? I'm starting to understand why her son is such a bad kid. It's not his fault. He's being trained to be that way. I think that the entitled mother most likely did have the money for the ice cream, but it was a show of power or a show of guilt tripping. It's your fault they're not gonna get ice cream, not me. You should feel ashamed of yourself. The only problem is, it doesn't work because there was never any intention to buy that kid ice cream. You're just making your own kid suffer. Our next story is by Crackle Tom. The time I got my mother to walk right into my door. Shortly after my dad gave me a safe for my money, he also got me a deadbolt lock for my door with a wall-mounted lockbox that required a code to get the key because my sister threw my safe through my bedroom window. We installed the lock and lockbox together while my mom and sister weren't home. When my sister first walked by my room after coming back, I saw her look at the lock and then go running to get mom. They both came storming up the stairs to be greeted by my dad and I. The following is paraphrased from what I remember. Mom snaps her fingers a few times and points and says, "What the heck is that?" Dad says, "A door lock?" She says, "I know what the freak it is. Why is it there?" Dad says, "Because you never see fit to punish or stop our daughter from stealing from OP or ransacking his room, so from now on, the lock stays." Mom says he's only 14 and this is my house. He can't have a lock on the door. Dad says, "No, this is our house. But last I checked, I paid most of the mortgage and the bills. You hardly pay anything. And I'm tired of you favoring daughters so much that OP keeps having to suffer for it." Mom says, "Well, then I demand you tell me the code for the lockbox at least." Dad, with a deadpan stare, says, "I'm not doing that, because you've shown I can't trust you anymore." Mom then blew her top and stormed down the stairs. My sister just stood there looking pouty and then slowly walked to her room. Things were good with the new lock, and it became habitual for me to lock it every time I left my bedroom. I saw my sister and mother staring at me on numerous occasions when I input the code to get the key, but I always made sure to use my hand or my body to block their line of sight. They really didn't like that, but there wasn't anything they could do about it. Then one day late in the month, my sister came begging me for $40 to buy a video game she really wanted. I say, "Why do you keep coming to me to ask for money when you and I both know you'll never pay it back?" She says, "I'll pay it back, I swear." I say, "No, you won't. You spend everything you have and then some each month. And you know you just want to spend all of your allowance rather than pay me back. It's what you always do." She says, "No, I don't." I say, "Well then, how about we test that?" I then went into my room and got a piece of paper and a pen and hand wrote an IOU contract that stated sis would pay me back the $40 upon getting her monthly allowance. And the IOU was to be co-signed by Dad as a witness. Always have a witness for contracts, folks. Sis read the paper and then started sniffling. She tore it in half and ran crying to Mom yet again. It's what she did every single time she didn't get her way. Sis runs off saying, "Mommy," sobbing. Mom says, "What is it, my little princess? What did OP do now?" I say she wanted to borrow money, so I asked her to sign an IOU in front of Dad. Then she freaked out. She says, "And why would you do that? She just wanted to borrow a little money." I say, "Would you sign the IOU as well to make sure she pays the money back?" She says, "You little poop, I don't have to sign anything. Now just loan her the money." I say, "Not without a signed IOU." Mom stands up with her arm out like she's ready to hit me, then retracts it and says, "You're just like your father. You have to have a paper trail for everything. I hate it." I start walking up the stairs to my room and say, "At this point, Mom, I'd say it's a good thing I'm just like Dad, because it's far better than being just like you and Sis is, because you never do anything good." Mom says, "What was that, you little poop?" Starts storming up the stairs just as I got into my bedroom door and locked it. Now, my mom had a habit of throwing open my bedroom door to yell at me back then. She did one sweeping motion of opening the door while lunging her body forward. And at this time, I'd only had the lock on my door for a little while, so she wasn't used to it yet. I'd locked the deadbolt, and she tried to throw open my door and slammed right into it with a pretty loud thud. Then I heard her fall onto the floor and start making noises of crying in pain. She'd slammed her body and face against the door pretty hard. It was an old-fashioned style door made of solid wood, and it gave her a fat lip and a bump on the forehead. I opened the door and she was sprawled out, pounding her fists on the floor. She says, "You did this to me, you little poop." I say, "You did it to yourself." She says, "You're grounded. Get out of my sight." After that, I called Dad and he just groaned over the phone about the whole situation. He said I wasn't grounded, but I was still in big trouble for goading her, and it just let him deal with her when he got home. I ended up getting a stern lecture from Dad along with added chores and a reduction to my allowance that month, but that was about it. After that day, every time Sis asked me for money, I asked her to sign an IOU. She really didn't like that. I think the greatest thing about OP in the story is they keep their eyes on the goal, even though there's bad behavior, even though there's awful things going on around them. They stay laser focused on what's right and what they know is right. So despite the sister and the mother acting like utter children, anytime they come around asking for money, it's still just, "Okay, would you like to sign an IOU?" I would imagine a big part of that is the dad being there to back OP up, which is great, because the rest of the situation is nightmarish. And our final story of the day is by Protolar. Karen breaks my camera because she thinks that making movies is a bad idea. Some backstory: I've always wanted to make movies for as long as I can remember. I'm a teenager. Now on to the story. So this was about a month ago. I was on summer break and my friend hit me up and asked if I wanted to make a movie with friends. We'd made several before, so I and my friends met up at a nearby park. Everyone was going to play a part. So we started filming some scenes and it was going pretty well. No one bothered us. A couple even offered to help us. Day 2 is when poop starts hitting the fan. We set stuff up and start shooting more scenes for the movie. Same place, different spot. We then set up a green screen to make a big battle scene. The plan was to have stock war footage in the background and make it look like we were fighting as well. Enter the Karen. "What are you doing?" My friend responds by saying, "We're making a movie, ma'am." The Karen says, "Well, could you go somewhere else? You're scaring my kids." I will admit that one of the costumes I had on was a little creepy, but we went ahead and moved anyway. But as we started over on the next take, Karen went and messed it up by shoving the green screen. This was during a stunt scene and my friend could have been killed if we didn't have a mat to break his fall. At this point, I wasn't going to put up with this lady. I yelled, "What the heck are you doing?" Karen responded, "I told you to go somewhere else, as in leave." I say, "Lady, this is one of the only places we can shoot scenes like this, and plus, we aren't bothering you or your kids." Karen says, "Well, how dare you disrespect your elders, you jerks." She then grabbed the camera and threw it and yells at us, "That's what you all deserve." At this point, my friends had it, so they called the cops. Long story short, my camera was broken and I got another Karen locked up. I think from the very start the Karen made a terrible mistake. They started assaulting kids and damaging property right in front of the kids with a actual proper camera rolling. I think that's about as dumb as you can get. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.